Welcome from the studios of KPBS TV at San Diego State University. The International Training Center today brings us all together in this teleconference, joining Mexico, la República Dominicana, Costa Rica, Panamá, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, and the United States of America. We would like to thank Globecast Communications, Telecomunicaciones de Mexico, PanamSat, and BrazilSat for their satellite linkage services which make this all possible today. Welcome to our program on managing risk in international partnerships, logistics, insurance, and financial strategies. This is the 8th video conference of the series Principles for World-Class Performance. My name is Richard Page, and I will be your moderator for today's program. I am a private attorney with the San Diego law firm of Page & Bush, practicing in the areas of business and international law. Today's program is composed of 2 presentation modules and 2 question and answer sessions. We look forward to your live participation. Managing risk in international partnerships is important to all of us who are working with international commerce and trade. The nations of the world are combining into trading groups and reducing international barriers to trade. We now have the existence of the European Economic Union, of NAFTA, Mercosur, and the Andean Pact. Discussion has taken place for accession to each of these trading groups, even to the extent of creating SAFTA, or the South American Free Trade Agreement, which would be a combination of Mercosur and the Andean Pact. This activity demonstrates the relentless desire of productive nations to expand their trading frontiers. At the level of individual enterprises, more and more businessmen and women are looking to international markets for their products. For these individual businesses, the discipline of creating a business plan provides the framework within which to assess the opportunities and risks of entering the international market. In creating this business plan, the risk factors which need to be considered include internal risks, external risks, both domestic and international, strategic alliances, contingency plans, and insurance provisions. The means for controlling risk include increased awareness of cultural differences, safety programs, quality assurance, and the traditional financial method of insurance. It is a pleasure to introduce to you today's expert speakers, Dr. Alex DeNoble and Mr. Michael Jordan. Dr. DeNoble has been professor of management at San Diego State University since 1983. He is actively involved in teaching and research in the areas of strategic management and entrepreneurship. He has conducted training programs with such companies as FHP Inc., Bayshore Medical Group, West, Johnston, Turnquist and Schmidt CPAs, Sharp Healthcare, NEC Electronics Inc., and el Banco Nacional de Comercio Exterior de México. Dr. DeNoble has consulted with such companies as Strategene Cloning Systems, the Naval Air Station Miramar, Sato Travel, and Sinbad Corporation. He has published articles in such journals as the Journal of Business Venturing, the Journal of High Technology, Management Research, International Marketing Review, and Entrepreneurship, Theory and Practice. Dr. DeNoble received his Master and Ph.D. degrees from Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. Mr. Jordan is Vice President of the Inter-Americas Commercial Transport Services Company, a pioneering group providing training and financial insurance services to trans-border commercial trucking in Mexico, the United States, and Canada. In 1980, he joined the law offices of Ball and Lynch, where he specialized in insurance coverage and insurance defense practice cases. Mr. Jordan has since devoted his full-time effort to Inter-Americas as Vice President and General Counsel. Since 1973, he has held important positions in well-known insurance and financial groups, including Hartford Insurance Corporation, Home Insurance Company, and Transamerica Insurance Group. Mr. Jordan has written important articles and reports on the legal and regulatory aspects of the insurance industry and its international perspectives. Mr. Jordan received a Juris Doctor degree from the School of Law at the University of Santa Clara with honors. Welcome, gentlemen. Let us begin with an introductory question. Does strategic partnering with a foreign entity or individual present unique risks for cultural misunderstanding? Mr. Jordan?
Yes, it does. Additionally, it's important to recognize that understanding differences in cultural values is an important part in the formation of a business relationship. Effective negotiation requires an understanding of the needs of your counterpart in order to arrive at a mutually acceptable agreement. To the extent that cultural values bear on the value system of your counterpart, it is essential to have an understanding of how those values will impact on what the requirements for a mutually acceptable agreement will be. Additionally, cultural values will also impact on how the product or service should be presented to the market. This latter factor is one of the reasons why partnering in international projects is so important.
Dr. DeNoble?
Yeah, well, forming alliances with foreign partners always presents a unique set of challenges. Because of the cultural differences, business practices may differ greatly in areas such as contract negotiations, the way the two partners would approach such a negotiation, and even the timing and the sense of urgency with which the two partners engage in their business relationship. A foreign partner may have a different set of priorities than your group as you try to enter a foreign market. So it does present a unique set of challenges that should be thought about and worked out before making significant commitments.
Thank you for your comments. Let us begin with Module 1, in which Dr. DeNoble will explain the elements of risk which should be considered as part of any international operation.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to spend some time with you. Today, I want to discuss important issues related to business planning and risk management. My focus will be on how these issues apply when your company decides to pursue business in international markets. The risks and demands of taking a business international are both complex and high. Many business owners contemplating international expansion tend to focus their efforts on establishing key host country contacts to assist in the marketing and distribution of their products. While these activities are, without a doubt, both necessary and appropriate, results of international expansion efforts all too often fall short of expectations. In many cases, the domestic firm experiences these disappointments even though they did not clearly define goals and map out a strategy for establishing a long-term presence in the international arena. The development of a comprehensive business plan can be both a tedious and a time-consuming process. It requires that the management team of the firm commit to undertake a comprehensive evaluation of both the external market opportunities and the internal capabilities of the firm. Unfortunately, many business owners view the effort required to prepare a business planning document as an inefficient and unproductive use of their time. It takes too much time and does not lead to tangible business results, is a common argument I often hear from many busy entrepreneurs. Thus, they frequently put off writing a formal business plan until it is deemed a necessity to secure financing. Neglecting the plan is an indication that the entrepreneur may be too preoccupied with day-to-day demands of running a domestic business, let alone worrying about crafting a long-term strategy to participate in the international arena. For some, the international market is a place to dump excess capacity. For others, the international market represents a unique opportunity to build long-term value in an enterprise beyond its domestic borders. With this talk, I want to target those entrepreneurs with a vision and a desire to grow firms with an established long-term presence in foreign markets. The business plan is a document that describes the nature of the firm's products or services, key members of the management team, target markets, competitive environments, entry and operating strategies, critical risks, and financial considerations. A well-developed plan discusses why the business concept represents a viable opportunity in light of the external marketplace and the firm's unique capabilities. Taken in an international context, the business plan provides the structure and approach for an entrepreneur to investigate the viability of foreign market opportunities and to develop a plan for successfully penetrating those markets. Unfortunately, time does not permit me to cover all of the elements that should be included in a well-developed plan for a company desiring to go international. Instead, I would like to focus my discussion specifically on the types of risks one should expect to encounter in doing business internationally. Though one cannot expect to identify and manage all risks for business planning purposes, it is possible to develop a framework to organize your thinking and identify the most critical risks that could impact the business. Then and only then can you think about contingency planning, insurance, and other kinds of risk management activities. Critical risk assessment requires that the entrepreneur identify potential problems that could have a significant adverse effect on a company that is proposing to enter international markets. The business planning process of identifying and evaluating critical risks serves three fundamental purposes. First and foremost, it forces the company's management team to truly evaluate the viability of a given market opportunity. If the risks are perceived as too great relative to the rewards that can be garnered from an international commitment, then a decision not to enter such a market may make the most sense. Alternatively, should the management team believe that the risks are reasonable and can be effectively managed, then the company can proceed in pursuing the international project with the full confidence, energy, and vigor that will be required throughout the process. Second, critical risk assessment forces the company's management team to think about and plan for contingencies. Such activities may include the development of alternative plans of action or the acquisition of various types of insurance policies. Third, an analysis of the risks involved in going international enables the company's management team to engage in honest and objective discussions with potential investors. It is clearly in the entrepreneur's best interest to inform potential investors up front that there are risks associated with pursuing business opportunities in general and pursuing international business opportunities in specific. Such an approach will contribute to a greater respect on the part of the investor for the entrepreneur. The following areas should be covered in a comprehensive risk assessment associated with an international project. Before we proceed, however, it is first important to bear in mind that the following framework does not cover all of the risks that may impact a business as it enters international markets. Instead, my intent is to heighten your awareness of the wide range of issues that could potentially cause problems. It is my hope instead that you will use this framework to generate a specific list of issues that your firm should be considering when evaluating your industry-specific international context. Accordingly, in preparing the critical risk assessment section of the business plan, I recommend creating the following 6 subsections. First, internal risks. Second, external risks in a domestic context. Third, external risks in an international context. Fourth, strategic alliance risks, if applicable. Fifth, contingency plans. And finally, sixth, insurance provisions. Internal risks include any factor under your organization's direct control, such as both human and capital resources. In addressing internal risks, attention should be focused on those factors within your organization that could potentially have a negative impact upon the business. Such risks may include, but are not limited to, loss of key employees or members of the management team, inadequate working capital, unproductive research and development activities, unanticipated breakdowns in plant and equipment, and bottlenecks in the distribution channels. In order to assist you in identifying and evaluating these risks, I have generated the following list of questions for you to consider. First, what are the critical areas of vulnerability internal to your company's operations? Examples include equipment breakdowns, product failures resulting in lawsuits, inadequate capacity to meet external demand, inadequate working capital, etc. This question is designed to get you to think about your ability to deliver high-quality, defect-free goods and services to your foreign customers in a timely manner. One of the greatest risks for a new company seeking to establish a strategic position in foreign markets is to start a foreign relationship with less than satisfactory products and services delivered late and/or delivered in inadequate quantities. In addressing this question, you must think about your company's internal operations, including organizational workflows and assets to be employed, and how everything must function in order for you to be responsive to your foreign partners and customers. Second, are there key managerial, technical, sales personnel, or outside consultants who would have a major effect on the business if they left? In order for your company to be an active and long-term participant in foreign markets, you must identify those individuals within your organization who will be integrally involved and responsible for maintaining international business operations and relationships. These individuals will serve as the main liaison between your company and critical foreign contacts. They are the people who establish and maintain key customer relationships and know and understand the legal and logistical intricacies involved in transporting goods and services across international borders. Who are these people? What areas of responsibility will they have? How critical is their knowledge of company operations and international business activities to your business? Third, how would the company deal with the loss of these people? Can anyone else in your business organization step into the position should a key individual become unavailable to the business? How long would it take for a new person to acquire the necessary competencies to function adequately in this new position? Are there outside consultants available to assist during the transition process? How long would it take to train a new person to assume these critical responsibilities? Fourth, does the company have the resources and the technical ability to quickly ramp up production in response to rapid sales growth? One of the areas where a company is most vulnerable in international markets is when the sales and marketing people experience a high level of initial success. Many companies are eager to establish the kinds of business relationships that will lead to large orders for products and services. Unfortunately, many times such short-term successes can lead to long-term strategic failures. The key question here is, are you prepared to deliver the quantities desired within the time frame required without compromising quality? Do you have backup options available to service customer demands which exceed your company's current capacities? Early on in your foreign market relationships, it is important to establish a level of confidence with your foreign customers that you can respond appropriately to their needs. One common way to address this issue is to form alliances with other manufacturers in your area to handle your excess demand requirements. Fifth, what if there are delays in product development? Suppose you are designing and developing a product line specifically for your foreign target markets. A major risk that many companies experience in their eagerness to go international is to start selling products and services to customers before prototypes are actually ready for commercialization. These situations are usually brought on by companies who have invested heavily in product development activities and are under intense pressure to recoup their financial investments. Thus, they are motivated to generate orders, even though they are aware that the product might not be ready. The danger is that your company may not get a second chance to make good on a promise of product delivery. Sixth, are there any potential liability issues that could affect profitability? In many instances, product safety standards may differ from one country to the next. Even though across the globe there have been significant efforts to develop common international safety standards, the challenge of product liability issues still looms large in the customer's mind. A major concern of foreign customers has to do with their ability to have recourse in the event that a product poses a safety threat or simply just does not work the way it was originally intended. What provisions have you made to handle customer complaints about your product or service? Additionally, what provisions have you made to ensure that your product adheres to acceptable safety standards? One common way to address this latter issue is to subject your product designs to an independent testing laboratory. Underwriters Laboratories, also known as UL, is an internationally recognized organization which evaluates a product's safety and performance. Such a seal of approval provides a certain level of confidence in the product's safety characteristics as well as a strong marketing benefit. By demonstrating that your products have undergone such rigorous tests is an indication of the strong commitment you have made. 7. What if the venture fails to raise capital? Another major problem that companies experience in their zeal to have an international presence is to start generating outside sales before they raise sufficient capital to deliver on the project. One fundamental problem in this regard is the many companies significantly underestimate the time it takes to raise capital for a project. The process of finding investors for an international project is time-consuming in and of itself. But even then, it represents only half of the battle. Sophisticated investors often go through a process known as due diligence before putting money into a deal. This process typically entails a thorough analysis of the business opportunity and the company's capability to deliver on that opportunity. The problem here is that in many situations, companies make foreign market commitments and then, under intense pressure to deliver on those commitments, rush to a bank or other funding source expecting to obtain the required funds on demand. What the entrepreneur must remember is that the funding source is typically not under the same pressure you are and will not compromise their investigation process to accommodate your needs. The key to addressing this issue is to start building financial relationships early on in the process so that the necessary funding can be put in place when you need it and not when it is too late. Eighth, what if the company fails to meet sales goals? Usually, when companies decide to go international, they are very optimistic about their prospects for success. The optimism sometimes translates into sales goals and forecasts that are quite high. Given such expectations, it would be natural for the management team to overcompensate in investments for plant capacity and inventory. Such an approach allows the company to protect against many of the internal risks I already spoke about. However, when and if economic situations change and customers refuse to order more product, the company runs the risk of having too much capital tied up in assets that are not generating positive cash flows. Is there a plan in place for disposing of excess inventory? Alternatively, can your investment in plant capacity be temporarily or permanently diverted to other uses? These are just some of the internal risks that can significantly inhibit a company from successfully entering a foreign market. Management must pay careful attention to those aspects of its operations that are most critical in supporting foreign market operations. I now want to turn our attention to forces in the external environment that can significantly impact a company's ability to successfully enter foreign markets. Sources of external risks can be subdivided into domestic, international, and strategic alliance factors. Examples of domestic or home country external risks may include, but are not limited to, government regulation or deregulation, which could impact a company's ability to export, taxation on exports, strikes, or breakdowns in the domestic distribution chain responsible for transforming and/or transporting your products to international borders, and delays in processing of export documentation and letters of credit. Once in the host country of your foreign target market, your company can expect to experience a different set of external risks associated with that environment. Such risks would include, but again are not limited to, possible delays in processing of import documentation and letters of credit, patent violations, and other pirating activities, changes in technology, multiple layers of distribution costs, and adverse economic conditions. Finally, if key strategic alliances constitute an essential element of your international strategy, then another set of complex issues must be considered. You should investigate the background and reputation of your strategic alliance partner, the manner in which that partner formulates agreements and conducts business practices, and the ability and motivation of your alliance partner to adequately represent your company's business interests. Let's look at some domestic risks an organization has to consider. First, are there any potential changes in your own country's government regulations that could have an adverse effect on your costs or sales? When contemplating foreign market sales, it is important to pay attention to pending government regulations that can raise your costs or in some other way inhibit your company's smooth entrance into foreign markets. In most scenarios, domestic governments tend to be highly supportive of national companies' attempts at engaging in foreign business activities. However, sometimes complying with export documentation or reporting requirements can significantly raise costs over what the same product can be produced for in strictly domestic markets. Second, is there any current